All right, everybody, we're back again. This is your boy Billy Wayne with Legacy United, a Righteous Project Inc. podcast, here with another episode. Like I said before, we're inviting local entrepreneurs, people that are in the corporate world, and other individuals that want to share their story about what they've done, where they come from, and things they did to get to where they are today. And today, I want to introduce to you guys our actual chief of technology officer for the Righteous Project Inc. here with us. So I'm gonna pass it over to you, sir, and just go ahead and introduce yourself and what your occupation is.
Yeah, Jacob Bruin, Chief Technology Officer for the Righteous Project, and then for my day job, I'm the lead software developer of a medical company.
Nice.
So I do programming stuff. Software development for web interfaces, for all kinds of not just web interfaces, mobile apps.
Yeah.
Do different services and whatnot. Have to do working a lot with AWS,
Okay.
Amazon's
Yeah.
web services.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so do a lot of stuff like that. Database development, software development, deploying, all that type of stuff.
Nice, awesome, man. Appreciate that. That's definitely a position that's very important these days. And I think we were just talking about it not too long ago. We were talking about how AI is really, those chatbots and everything's taken over, and just computer programming is becoming more relevant ever so than it has ever been, and I know it's been around for a long time, and now with people being fearful about losing their jobs to robots, man, I mean, there are people behind there actually programming and maintaining that type of technology as well. So I think that's where it should be going.
There 100% going to be massive amounts of people that are going to lose their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
but the entire idea is that there's going to be plenty of people that are going to lose their jobs the same way when the printing press came around that people lost their jobs, or the same way that when during the Industrial Revolution, or like, for instance, the conveyor belt type of assembly lines and whatnot, there were massive amounts of people that lost their jobs. There's definitely going to be people that are going to lose their jobs, and the hope is that the direction is you will gain skills in technology areas,
Right.
and you will lose a job, but you're gonna gain another job as long as you're able to pivot and update your skill set as far as what you can do.
Right.
You're gonna be able to get a different job.
Right.
It's not just that, like, you lose your job and then you won't ever be able to work again.
Yep.
You gotta take on the idea that you have to update your skill set for the times.
Right.
So you have to be able to transition.
Yep, I agree 100%, man. You're right about that. And it's an important aspect, technology, computer science, information as well. And I think that's an integral part that you play for our organization too. We do start off with financial literacy, but we are going to branch off into making sure that we can provide those same type of lessons and courses, for the youth as well, man. So thank you for that very much.
Yeah, and it just as a side note,
Yep.
We had talked about this earlier as well, as far as pillars that you can go on for things that you can provide to younger individuals that will prep them for the future.
Yep.
Prep them for amazing career opportunities and whatnot. Software, or not even just software, don't get me wrong, technology type jobs, and being literate in the financial sector, and that includes business dealings, right? So not just like figuring out how to invest or something similar.
Yep.
We're talking about being able to be competent in starting and running your own business or something along those lines. If you're competent in technology and you're competent in financials, your literacy for financials is high, and your ability to develop, or at the very least understand, the operatings of how businesses are conducted,
Yep.
you're you're going to be incredibly well off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
your starting path is you're going to be leaps and bounds above other people.
Yep. I agree.
Which
man.
That's the focus, right?
Right.
Is it provide those types of services for people that might otherwise not, I shouldn't even say might otherwise, more than likely are not provided that type of service.
Yep.
Because what it affords you is a type of wealth development that is hard to comprehend.
Yep. Right.
As long as you have those things with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right about that, man. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff as well. And on the episodes, of course, we share about the backstories and everything that our guests, kind of gone through to get through or get to where they are today as well. So excuse me, I'm stuttering today. I'm going to pass you the mic and let you share your story for us today. So go ahead, man, take the lead and let us know.
All right. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona's a beautiful state. It's not. It wasn't necessarily. I guess I'd say the beauty of a desert was lost on me.
Okay.
I appreciate four seasons way more than I do the type of environment that a desert offers.
Right.
A lot of people love Arizona and Phoenix in particular. I was never that big of a fan, but that is where I was born and raised, and of course I still have most of my roots are outside of course now my family that I have here.
Yeah,
but
right.
My brother and my mom and dad and all my friends from my earlier time and whatnot are all still in Arizona.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I do have a lot of connections there, but Colorado's where I call home now, of course, and I do not regret making that decision.
Nice.
But so I was born and raised in Arizona, and as far as me being a software developer now, for most of my childhood, I was, I would do nerd-like things, right?
Okay.
I say nerd, I don't, not in an offensive way or anything similar,
Yep.
but I am 100% a nerd.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
I hear you.
I'm full-blooded nerd, right? Through and through. So I've always done, whether it was playing video games when I was much younger, which nowadays every kid plays video games.
Right.
Was not so much the case when I was younger.
Right.
I'm a bit older, so was not the case when I was younger. So I always played video games. I played computer video games, which is even more abnormal.
Right. Yep.
A lot of kids might have played PlayStation or whatnot.
Yeah,
I was playing on the computer.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Right.
Most kids who played video games, like, doing the PlayStation or like the Super Nintendo
Right,
type of thing, I was on a
exactly.
computer, which is very abnormal during that time anyway,
Right.
But so I always played computer video games, and I was really into playing video games, and I got to the point where as part of playing video games, back then, computers that you bought at the store, they weren't capable of hanging to do the specs and whatnot you need to play a video game.
Yep.
So I got fixated on this idea when I was 12 or 13 that I wanted to build my own computer.
Oh, nice.
A computer that was more of a powerhouse to play video games on.
Yeah, right.
So across a birthday, a Christmas, and another birthday, I was able to, with the help of my parents, of course, crazy amounts of support in the type of weird, nerd stuff that I was doing at the time, right? They were very supportive of all the different weird things that I would do.
Right, okay.
So they got me the parts over the course of those three things. They got me the parts to build a computer. And this was during a time, I know it's probably foreign to most people that would listen to this, most younger people, right? It's foreign to them because building a computer is, you can just pull up a YouTube video now, right? And you'd watch it, and you can go down to the local store and grab everything that you need to build a computer. It's not complicated, right? but this was before YouTube, like early stages of Google,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
it might not have even been around. I think it was Ask Jeeves during this time.
Yeah, I remember that.
So,
yep, exactly.
It wasn't, the resources weren't there in the same way.
Yep.
So I had to read articles online that didn't have pictures.
Yep.
To figure out how to build a computer. It was very difficult. The first one that I built was very difficult. Much different than how it is today. But it just was, I was very dedicated towards doing the technology stuff.
Right.
At a very early age. It just was something that was very interesting to me.
Yep. Okay.
And obviously it ended up helping a lot, given that that's just kind of the direction that our culture, our world as a whole is going.
Yep.
Being invested in technology. But I didn't view it like that at the time. Of course, it just was something that piqued my curiosity.
Yep.
So I got into building computers, and I built my first computer, and then several after that. And during this time, after that was like in 8th grade, so start going to high school and start playing sports. Before that, I did a lot of skateboarding, but I didn't really play sports.
Okay.
I just did skateboarding.
Yeah.
So started playing sports. I did football and track, and I did pretty good in both of those.
Nice.
A lot of that was just like genetics of being a big person.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So,
yep.
of course, I was a perpetual lineman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so wasn't exactly breaking any 40 records or anything, but I was a lineman.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Right.
So I did pretty good in football and track, but the whole time that I was doing sports, it was kind of like a double life where all of my friends, for the most part, were people that did sports.
Yep.
But in my personal time, would play video games and get on I don't know if you even remember these, like Ventrilo and TeamSpeak.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
So you play video games,
Yeah.
and of course the biggest one, World of Warcraft.
Yep.
I spent a large portion of time playing World of Warcraft and whatnot, and it's not exactly in the popular mainstay nowadays, but for nerds back when I was growing up, that was where it was at.
I think these days it's more so, a lot more popularity around it these days.
It's waned. It's waned. I'm not so many people nowadays.
Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah, it was big, when I was playing. So I did a lot of that stuff, and still doing other things like modding things like modding Xboxes and Xbox 360s back in the day, and putting in new hard drives in them and doing all that type of stuff.
Man, I always wanted to do that.
I built a computer when I was 15. I built a computer that I made sure had a motherboard that was that had a very particular chipset that you needed to mod Xbox 360. So I went out of my way to get a certain component so that I could mod 360s for me and my friends. Of course, it's for the squad, right? So I had to have all my friends, we all had modded Xboxes with back then the 120 gig hard drive and the modded Xbox.
Nice, all right.
So we all had the amazing stuff, and then for the Xbox 360s it was the same way, where we all had the modded DVD-ROM so that we could play the games and dump them onto the 360 and whatnot. Yeah, of course. Right. Everyone was living big when I was around, right? Doing all the modding for everyone.
Man.
So, and that's pretty deep into the nerd territory.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. I thought I had, I was a nerd as well, man. I mean, I'm into movies, and I used to play with electronics, build them back up and everything.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, you were deep in it, man.
Well,
deep
you're
in it.
a nerd in a different way as
Yeah.
far as like getting into the audio engineering
Yeah,
and whatnot.
yeah, right,
It's just
right.
another category of nerd. You know what I mean?
True,
You were just
true.
deep into a different lane of nerd.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So I was always into like fiddling with things. I remember I installed the Mac operating system on a PC.
Oh, yeah.
Did that type of thing.
Yep.
And using Linux, lots of Linux stuff.
Yep.
Just nerd, very deep into one category of nerd, but I went pretty deep into it.
That's
right?
what's up, man. Yeah.
So I was always into that type of stuff while doing sports.
Gotcha.
Right. So I do lots of sports. Did real good in sports. Did terrible in school.
Okay.
Like
Same here.
C- average, bad. D's aren't considered passing in college.
No,
ladies and
right.
gentlemen.
Exactly right.
Just so you're aware, high school lets you pass with D's.
Yep.
You do not pass
Yeah.
in college with D's.
That was me. That was me too. So I hear you.
So, I never found school to be that interesting to me. So I never put much time or energy toward it.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that side of things later. But I would say that was definitely at my peril to take that type of line of thinking.
Gotcha.
Not to say that you would have been able to convince me otherwise, because I guarantee you my parents tried their absolute hardest to convince me that what I was doing was not right, and that did not work. I thought I knew everything, right? So, but it's just the truth of the matter. I didn't put too much time or energy towards school, and that followed me later on. But I just was mostly engrossed in messing with computers and building stuff, breaking it down, messing with different software, all that type of stuff.
Gotcha.
And like I said, it did help, but the school part was definitely not a shining moment.
Right.
Doing so bad in school.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a lot of people that I've talked to that have
feel the same way.
Similar, which is. That's the hardest part about it, is that just about everyone that didn't put in their full effort into school is going to tell you, probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone feels the same way, but somehow it just keeps happening.
Yep.
Right?
It's wild.
Every new generation, it just keeps happening. But every one of them grows up and is just like, maybe I should have put a little bit more energy into that.
No,
they don't even ask for that much. Let's be honest. They really, they really
looking
don't.
back on it, my kids right now, what they're complaining about for school and the work, and me looking back at it, man, even, just like you're saying, passing with D's and everything, I could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
It's just the choosing of not to do it. That's really the difference.
Just about everyone that I talked to, it wasn't that they couldn't have got things if they wanted to.
Right.
It just, you just didn't. You literally put in the bare minimum amount of effort that you can put in.
Yep.
And exactly. I'm lucky that my kids for whatever reason, and I honestly couldn't tell you what switched on with them that just made them like, I want to do
this.
I wish I knew, because then I would just say I'd get everyone to switch that on. I wish I knew what it was, but for whatever reason, they just know that they're gonna put in their full. You don't even I'll be honest. You don't even have to put in your full.
Right. Yeah.
You're talking. You could put in 60% and get an A.
Exactly.
Like you don't have. You don't have to go crazy.
Really, honestly, you just have to do the work, and that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be 100% correct.
No, and a lot of teachers are that way, which is a very good line of thinking. And that like if you put in effort, then I'm willing to accept that, even if you don't necessarily get everything right and whatnot. The fact that you tried matters so much.
Right.
And I didn't do that. Right. And it's like I say, it was to my detriment that I didn't. But and that's something that I would suggest to anyone growing up is, putting in let's put it this way, you are 100% going to have to put in effort at some point in time. And the question is, do you want to put in a static, steady amount of effort, or later on in life, do you want to have to put in a ridiculously large amount of effort to be able to get back to the same place that other people put in a relatively small amount of effort over time?
Yep.
It's up to you, because I had to do the other one, right?
Same,
but you have the option where you can put in just 50% effort over 10 years.
Yep.
Or you can do 350% effort over 2 or 3 years. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But
oh man,
I would recommend the other way.
Right.
I would.
Right.
But in high school and not putting in almost any effort, I was good at sports.
Yeah.
And I did have scholarship offers. And as soon as any of those schools saw what my grades were, I wasn't that good, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference. Like if you're top quality, then you can have C's. I wasn't that good.
I see. Okay.
I wasn't even close to that good. So I ended up going to a community college on a scholarship, which is, I don't even know if you can call that. You wouldn't even put that in the same category, right? So
it's still a step further than some people, but 100%. I hear you.
There was kids that were at my school that went to like D2 schools or whatnot on scholarships.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that our ability was any different, right? But they put in a good deal more effort into making sure that the academic side was taken care of, so they got to go to better places. Yeah. And that this was one of the first wake-up calls that consequences actually do have, or rather actions do have consequences, right? So you do. This is something that I got hit with, where I got to go to a community college instead of somewhere else, and that's what I ended up with. So, I will be honest in saying that I still, even after that, was not mature enough to understand what happened or how I should take advantage of even this. Which, keep in mind, most kids don't even get this, right?
Yeah,
so. The fact that I absolutely blew up that opportunity, which I'll describe, but is mind-blowing, because you're like, if I had any sense of how lucky I was to even be in that position, I would have taken 100% advantage of it, and instead, I again, just not mature enough. I thought I knew everything and that everyone else was wrong. I'm the ultimate on these things. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing.
Right.
At that time, I was certain that I was going to be a graphic designer.
Yeah.
But I have no skills in art. Right? So I'm not an artist. I'm not good at that part of my brain. Is not my strong suit.
I got you.
But I was certain.
That
I was going to be a graphic designer, and everyone else was wrong. And, this is the path I'm going. I'm going to have this amazing career in an area that I'm terrible at. I don't know how I thought I was so certain on it. But I was, right? So I went to college and very quickly realized that I didn't like it and I wasn't good at it. And I probably goes hand in hand, right? If I loved it, like with most things for most people, right? If you love it, you eventually get good at something, right? If you have a passion for it.
Yep.
I didn't have a passion for it, and I wasn't good at it.
Wow, interesting.
Very confusing.
Yeah, okay.
How I could have been, how I was so successful in misleading myself into believing that I knew exactly what was, how good I was going to be at this and whatnot.
Wow.
But so I go to college and I blow that opportunity by going to the rec room and playing ping pong instead of going to classes.
Yeah.
So I never went to classes, or very rarely went to classes, and mostly just went and played ping pong.
Gotcha.
Which I got pretty good at,
yeah.
I'll be honest.
Hey,
but
that's a tough sport, man.
we had that we had that competition that I cleaned up at.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that you did.
That I cleaned up at.
Ah, nice. All right.
So,
wow. Yeah.
It paid off. Apparently, that's what the scholarship money that I got paid for was for me to get good at ping pong. So, I did that instead of going to classes, and that, of course, that ended up being, I don't get a scholarship anymore. Right.
Yeah.
You're no longer academically eligible, and I slacked off. Very heavily on the sports side of things.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, saying that I was doing the nerd stuff that I was very interested in, right?
Yep.
And I did the athletics that was mostly just genetics. If we're being honest, I was developed in such a way that I was good at those things without really putting much effort towards it.
Yeah.
And when you get to college, even community college,
right.
There's only so much that physical talents can take you. And when I say physical talents, let's be perfectly honest. I was on a very low rung in comparison to what you can achieve with just physical gifts, right? Because there's a Bo Jackson level of physical gifts, and there's what I had.
Oh,
it's not the same,
okay,
right? So I wasn't going to coast through anything just off my physical talents.
Got you.
And so I did good in high school. Lots of kids do.
Yeah.
Didn't do good at community college, which is the bottom rung of advancement from high school.
Yeah.
Right? The very bottom rung.
Right.
So if I wasn't coasting with my physical talents at that level, I'm not going to commit the time and energy to it, because my passion was always doing the nerd stuff.
Yeah.
It just happened to be that I went to college for sports because it's what I got offered and whatnot.
Right.
So I wasn't ever interested so much in sports, and so I didn't really do real well in those. Completely slacked off on the academic side, and ended up in a situation where now I actually have to face the real reality of life, which is going and getting a job and paying for things, having bills, this type of thing. Right. So now I have to go into the real world where, I was Mr. Know-It-All. I knew exactly what I was going to do in life and whatnot. And then you're presented with the consequences of your actions, which is now you have to go get a job, right? Yep. You have to go and again, I completely messed up my opportunity at college and didn't put any effort into high school, right? Go get a job. I can go get a job with technical skills that I acquired, right? But I didn't take advantage of the opportunities that I had in education. So I didn't have a degree.
Yeah, right.
Or not even an associate's degree, but any degree, right? And my technical skills, like I was talking about, I was modding Xboxes and whatnot, not exactly something that translates into job opportunities.
Yeah, right.
Not a whole lot of people hiring modders.
Hey, it sounds good, but when you present that to employers,
you can't. You can't even tell them that, right?
Exactly.
So I just have to tell them that I'm good on computers.
Right.
That's about all you could say. You can't. They don't care if you installed a different operating system.
Yep.
Right? It's just not something that translates.
Right.
So I blew my opportunities on the education front, and all I could fall back on was my, what I had for technical expertise.
Gotcha.
So I did translate that into getting tech support jobs, which is how we met.
Yep.
Right. So
we did.
Yeah. So I was able to get tech support jobs, which was fine. And I was getting for a 21-year-old that was getting my first job ever and getting it in tech support, getting paid a decent amount of money at that time, for doing tech support. It wasn't that bad. I lived with roommates and whatnot, and it wasn't as if it was terrible, but tech support is not, when you're talking about being really into nerd stuff and whatnot, and being very passionate about it, tech support's not not where you want to necessarily be, right?
That's customer service industry right there.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've worked with plenty of people that were very passionate about helping people, which is even with quote unquote technical support, the emphasis is on helping people,
right,
and not so much having an extremely in-depth knowledge on technology.
Yeah, right.
It helps, but the focus is on helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I had a problem with helping people, but my passion was the technical side.
Oh yeah,
and it conflicts when the primary job responsibility is helping people.
Yep.
I really wanted to help people and get into crazy in-depth things, and that's just not what what those jobs are for.
Nope.
So, in working in that industry, I quickly realized that this wasn't what I wanted to do as a long-term career.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do a situation where, I go into like supervisory type of roles and whatnot.
Right.
And again, absolutely nothing wrong with anyone that decides to do that type of thing. It just, I did know, and I was lucky in this, I did know what my passion was.
Right.
Very early on, right? When I was a kid,
Yep.
I knew what my passion was, but I didn't necessarily know how to transition into it. And I was definitely too immature when I was younger to capitalize on the opportunities that I was given to properly get into a technology-based role, right? But in working in tech support for a couple of years, I decided around the time that I also decided to leave Arizona, it was something like a stage where I was trying to figure out who I was as a person, try to solidify who I was as a person and what meant most to me, what I wanted to do with my life, this type of thing. And I realized at that time that in Arizona, the desert environment and the lack of seasons, the lack of perspective of time changing, of time passing rather. It meant a lot to me to get to somewhere where there was seasons and where I can see the passage of time expressed in the changing of seasons and whatnot. It just meant it meant a whole lot to me, and I recognized that and decided I was going to make a change. I was going to move, and I was going to move to Colorado, where plenty of season changing, right?
Yep, of course.
So I moved to Colorado, and around that same time, which is shortly after moving, is when we met.
Okay.
It probably only maybe 6 months after.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
That soon, huh? I didn't realize that.
Quick.
All right.
Yeah. So I met Billy. He was originally my supervisor.
Right. Yep.
So
it's a good times, man. Interesting stories from there too.
Very interesting stories, yeah. But so I met Billy working at doing tech support.
Yep.
I had worked a couple of different tech support jobs at this point because it was something that I was good at. Probably still would be good at it, but it just didn't take advantage of the passion that I had for doing technology stuff to the degree that I wanted.
Right.
So I decided at that time, shortly after moving to Colorado and whatnot, in kind of, like I say, figuring out myself, I decided that what I really wanted to do was get a job in the technology or technical field, and something that had always piqued my curiosity but seemed a bit far out of reach or a bit difficult to get into was software development.
Right.
And so I decided at that time that, like when I was around 24, 25, that I was going to start teaching myself how to write code, how to develop software and whatnot. And Billy was around for the very early stages of that.
Yeah.
I had tried to do a couple of coding things and whatnot for the company that I was working for that didn't end up panning out too well.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, but a lot of this is I decided to start teaching myself how to program, and that is a very difficult thing to do, to teach yourself how to program. I understand that for many people, it's difficult.
Right.
I feel like there was definitely much better paths I could have taken to have gotten to that, to learn programming.
Of course.
I don't imagine that I took the best paths, but ultimately it was something that I was very committed towards, was that I wanted to teach myself how to program.
Yep.
So I spent, I don't know, 2.5 years
Okay.
teaching myself how to program, which is a very long time.
Yeah, it is.
But during that time, I try to do several personal projects and
Right.
whatnot outside of work.
Okay.
I also did tried to do some development stuff for the company I was working for. Keep in mind, unpaid.
Right.
And I was not in that role.
Right.
And no one asked me to do it. I was going out of my way to develop stuff for a company for two different companies where they did not want me to be doing that.
Yeah, that's a whole different, another story, man. Which is crazy. It's pretty baffling, actually. But
yeah, you were only around for one.
I was around
one
for
of those.
Yep.
But yeah, two different companies which I can understand, because I wasn't hired in that role. I can somewhat understand their perspective in not wanting to have me fiddling around with their internal systems and developing applications and whatnot. I can get it, but that was where I was cutting my teeth early on before I actually transitioned into a full career in that type of thing.
Right, okay.
So after teaching myself for 2.5 years or so, again, working on different projects that I just come up with, things that I wanted to solve or whatnot, I had met my now wife at the second company, the one that you weren't around for.
Right.
And at that company, I had in talking with my wife, she recognized that I was extremely passionate. To be honest, I always say this, that there was only two supervisors that I've had that I've worked for that have ever put their neck out for me. One of them was you.
Okay.
And the other one I married.
Oh, wow. All right.
So yeah, you didn't fall into the category of someone that I wanted to marry, but it's okay. But
dodged the bullet there, man.
But so she stuck her neck out for me, just like Billy did. As far as trying to reach out to the higher ups, saying like, "Hey, he's working on these things. They're really cool. Can we show him off?" type of thing. And again, that did not pan out at the second company. It was actually far worse than what happened at the first company.
Yeah. Jeez.
It did not go well. It was threatened to be fired on multiple occasions while trying to develop applications to help the company and not getting paid for it.
Right.
I was just doing it as an extra thing.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, she stuck her neck out for me in that way, which is only two people. Yeah. Only two supervisors ever that have done that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I was very appreciative of that, and she encouraged me after seeing some of the stuff that I was working on and how dedicated I was toward it.
Yep.
So, she encouraged me at first to apply internally.
Okay.
To try to get a software developer role internally, right? And a lot like it is today, and this wasn't that long ago, maybe 6 years ago.
Yep.
A lot like it is today, most places say that they require a bachelor's degree to do anything in software development.
Okay.
Even junior positions, they require a bachelor's degree. And so at the company I was working for, which is a very large company,
Mm-hmm.
they were very adamant that you had to have that. It didn't even
Wow.
necessarily have to be in a software-related field,
Yeah.
but you had to have a bachelor's degree, no matter what. So that obviously didn't work out.
Right.
I couldn't. There was no way I could transition
Yeah. Yeah.
into a role like that at that company. So she, again, being my one of my biggest advocates,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're extremely passionate about this. You should look at other opportunities,
Yeah.
right? You should go apply at other places and see if you can get a role doing this type of thing.
Right.
And that's ultimately how I started doing software development professionally.
Nice.
Is I applied to a couple of places, and there was only one place that was willing to. I shouldn't say a couple of places. I applied to a lot of places, but
Yeah.
there was only one place that was willing to look at me when I did not have a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And they really, to this day, I've thanked my boss and my CEO several times for this, but they stuck their neck out for me.
Awesome.
In that I did not have a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
I had very little. I did have a GitHub profile that had some of my projects on it and whatnot, which definitely helps, and we'll talk about that later as far as transitioning. If someone was going down that path, it does help. It's almost a requirement, especially if you don't have a bachelor's degree.
Wow. Okay.
But I did have that. But if you don't have a school signing off saying that this guy at least knows enough, right, to get a bachelor's degree, or you don't have a boot camp or something similar that's signing off saying we're giving him a certificate that says that at the very minimum he knows this much, right?
Right.
If you don't have that, it's very challenging. And the fact that the company I'm working for now stuck their neck out and decided, you know what, we're gonna interview this guy, see, try to pick his brain, see how much he knows and whatnot, and eventually hired me and gave me an opportunity, my first job as a software developer, which as of right now, again, I'm the lead software developer there now, right?
Yeah.
So they gave me an opportunity, and at that stage in my life, which I believe was when I was 27.
Okay.
I was actually mature enough to understand the gravity of what I was afforded.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
The opportunity, right? So the fact that I had to deal with the real life consequences of other people being upset with me doing software development and whatnot. So when I was given an opportunity, like, okay, I'm gonna have to run with this one, right? I'm gonna have to go full on. And when I started, I was actually making basically the same amount I was doing tech support.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like almost mirror image.
Okay.
Right? So it wasn't exactly like I had transitioned into this amazing role where I'm getting paid way more and all these types of things.
Right.
It's not the case. I was getting paid. I could have just kept working as a tech support, and I'll be honest in saying it was way less work. Doing tech support compared to what I had to do for software development. It was way less work.
Yep.
But when I got to transition into doing software development and being so passionate about it, even to this day with the company that I'm working for, I get to do so many fun things that there are times where it's very stressful, right? Where I have to do a lot of put a lot of time and energy in, but so much of the job is doesn't feel like a job.
Right.
Because I get to do so much fun things that I'm already passionate about, that it's almost not like doing a job or work, right?
Gotcha.
It's just stuff that I love.
Yep. Good, man.
So
Good. You had more passion in what you were doing, for sure.
So much more.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. No, that's I mean, a lot of good lessons in there for sure. Like you were talking about early on in the early college days, and I think a lot of people go through that mindset. I went through it as well. I went for audio engineering when I was 19 or 20 and didn't put in all my effort, and I dropped out because I thought we already had our record label going and taking off and everything, and just didn't go that way. And having to reestablish a new mindset, was challenging, challenging for sure. So some good stuff in there, man, and I appreciate you sharing that for sure. So I got a couple questions for you real quick. The first question, I ask everybody this on the episode. The first question is, as of right now, what do you do differently right now as far as how you approach, the software programming versus when you first started? So anything differently on how you approach starting code or reviewing code? I don't know all the languages or anything, but anything that you do differently now than you did when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, it's completely different compared to now. And then, I know so much more, and am as a result so much more efficient.
Okay.
That a lot of the early times were throwing massive amounts of time and energy at something, and a lot of like hair pulling type of things. That's why I'm bald now.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't wear hair for no reason, man. I hear you.
It's not genetics. It was learning how to develop code, ladies and gentlemen.
So expect that.
Yeah. That's why we're all bald.
Yeah, man.
Every software developer.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I missed that one for sure, man. I hear you.
But I just was throwing massive amounts of time and energy at it. And now I'm just much more efficient at being able to get something done. Software development is much more a mindset than anything else, where you have to be able to fully commit to the logical problem solving mindset. And it's very difficult to get into that type of mindset, especially for adults. It's very difficult to get to the point where you're almost fully committed to the problem solving type of analysis of something.
Yeah.
And once you're more skilled or more engulfed in that type of mindset, then it's much easier and much less stressful to figure out problems with things, as well as not just figuring out problems with things. The other part of it, and this is something that I cannot turn off, and I've seen this with quite a few people that do software development, is you look at things throughout life, as you're going about things, whatever it happens to be. And you just think like, oh, that could be solved through writing a program, right? So that could be automated, or that could be streamlined. You could create a site for that, or a service, or an application, or whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
You could. There's a new way that you could go about that, a technological way that you can go about solving that type of problem.
Nice.
And you almost can't turn that off once you get deep into the problem solving mindset and whatnot. And that you just get when I was first starting doing software development and whatnot, before you're fully qualified, fully developed in your skill set and whatnot, it would be too daunting to think like, I can solve that, because you don't even necessarily have your core skills yet, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm not solving nothing. You know what I mean? I still gotta get my legs underneath me before I could start doing that. Right. But once you're full in on it, then at that point it's just looking at different things throughout life. And like, I could solve that.
Yep.
I could write something for that, and that, but ultimately, is what I do for the company that I work for. Is it, what do we need to solve today? What's the problem of the day? What do we need to automate? What do we need to develop? What's the interesting technological way to solve a problem? A lot of times a problem related to manpower, where you're just like, this will take us 3 weeks and 50 people to do.
Yep.
And that costs money. That's a real dollar value.
Right.
If you can figure out how to do that in 12 hours and with one person sitting behind a keyboard.
Right.
And that's when I was talking about AI, and people transitioning and whatnot. To be honest, that is what I'm talking about, in that largely people will have jobs similar to what I was just talking about, where you're like, that's going to take 2 to 3 weeks and 50 people to do.
Right.
Eventually, those 2 to 3 weeks and 50 people, that's not even going to be something that we're asking anymore, because it's all going to be solved by technology stuff. But what you're going to need is those people to solve it with technology stuff.
Right.
So those 50 people, if they reskill, if they retool, educate themselves on different things, they're just going to be in those jobs. They're going to transition into the jobs where you're automating stuff.
Exactly.
And you're not gone.
Right.
You're not gone from the workforce. You just have to make a conscious decision to start transitioning.
Right. Agreed. So
that's
nice.
The goal of the Righteous Project as a whole.
That's right. Exactly. Keep everybody ahead and prepared for sure, man. Exactly. Yes, sir. Good stuff. So one more question for you here. Any advice that you'll give to the younger you?
I would, I'll tell. You can ask anyone that I've talked to about this, and I will tell everyone until I'm blue in the face. Do not take it, or do not take advantage of the opportunities that are school when you're younger. As far as high school and college, if you're presented with the opportunities to take advantage of high school and college, you have to. The amount of time and effort that I put into learning software development by myself. If I would have put 20%, 30% effort when I was in college to taking the courses that were 100% offered, to do software development and whatnot, the place that I am in life right now, I probably would already be way farther. And I'm not, I won't put down where I am in life. I'm very grateful for where I am right now, but I can almost guarantee you I would have been way farther. As far as my career and whatnot, I'd have been higher up. I'd have been making more money. I'd have my skills would have been much more refined. Everything would have been better, right? And if you have the opportunity to do that type of thing, which pretty much everyone does. Pretty much everyone has the opportunity, to go to school and go to college and whatnot. You have to take advantage of that. And that's the biggest thing. And if I can say that along with this is, I would have. That's what I would have done differently. Is I would have, if I could have convinced myself, my younger self, which I'd be honest, I wouldn't have been able to. But if I could have convinced my younger self that that you need to dedicate a little bit more time and energy towards schooling and whatnot, that's what I would say. But I would also say that me and Billy, as well as my wife, and quite a few other people that I know, we're kind of the island of misfit toys. In that we all didn't take advantage of what was presented to us at a younger age. And we all had to put a massive amount of time and energy at a later stage in our life, which is much more difficult. Big time. Once you get to the point where you're like, I have a family and I have responsibilities. I have bills to pay. All of a sudden, that 4 or 5 hours a day that you would have committed when you were younger,
gone.
You can't find it. Where's the 4 or 5 hours? I don't have it. So, but I promise you that we figured it out. We did. And anyone that has gone past their the normal college age and whatnot, you 100% can still get into, whether it's business, business development and whatnot, going down that path, which is your path, right?
It is.
My wife's path was going to school for biology
Yep.
and chemistry
Nice,
and
yeah.
biochemistry,
Yep.
as it's often called.
Okay.
But she went to school for that type of thing and is
Yep.
now working in that field, right?
Nice, yeah.
And for her side, it for the thing that she was passionate about, which she found later
Yep.
in life, but for the thing she was passionate about, she had to go to school. There wasn't really an opportunity.
Yeah, right.
You can't
Just
you can't have a lab in your basement and get. I guess technically you can. Certain people do.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but you can, you can't
I know what
gain
you mean.
the type of experience that you need to get a job
Yep.
doing biochemistry
Oh yeah.
without going to school.
Exactly.
But you can with software development, which is one of the most amazing parts about it is it has changed a little bit nowadays to
Right.
where you can get jobs more easily without having a bachelor's degree. And so you can make a little bit later in life renaissance happen
Yep.
with software development. But you don't have. It's not just software development. Like I say, my wife's a perfect example where she went back to school and got her degree and is now working in that field and is a little bit older than me.
Yep.
And the fact that that all of that didn't coalesce until much later, it's not something that now you're just shut off. You didn't take advantage of college, like I didn't take advantage of it. You didn't take advantage of it, so now you're just stuck in a terrible career path or whatnot.
Right. Yep.
I know that we're focusing on educating the youth and what have you, but we are also, all three of us, right? We're also very good examples of how you can bring things together and later
after the fact.
you
sure.
could bring things together. You could still do it. So
Never too late.
yeah, it's
Exactly.
not.
You're right, man, and really good points. And one thing about the college aspect, and I hear this a lot as well. People go to college and they don't ever go into the field that they went to college for. I mean, to each their own as well. I mean, you can go get a trade early on and practice on that as well. I think there's a lot of opportunities for that too. But I don't want to hear anybody say they don't go to college because of the financial aspect. There are so many opportunities and grants that you can look into and apply for, even if you're working for a company. I took advantage of the paid tuition portion, through my company as well. So there's a lot of opportunities, and just like you said, through computer science, man, as long as you were putting in that effort, even if you put in that effort at a younger age, that increases your opportunity, to get out there and find something that you're more passionate about.
And if you're doing it at a younger age, like a much younger age, say before the teenage years or early teenage years and whatnot, the ability for you to shift your mindset into that type of problem solving type mindset, it's much more flexible, much more flowing. Younger kids have a much easier time transitioning into that type of line of thinking. And so I know that's one of the biggest things that we're doing now is for financial literacy as well as business development. To be honest, all three of them is being able to bring that type of offering to a younger audience that is not typically afforded that type of schooling.
Exactly.
You and I both know that there are some schools in Colorado, but I would imagine this is in every state. There are some schools, typically in more affluent neighborhoods, where they have a robust offering of financial literacy, business development, software, and electrical engineering. They have a wealth of different classes that kids are afforded the opportunity to take and whatnot. That is not necessarily the case. As an example, even for me, when I was in high school, the high school that I went to was not an affluent high school by any means, and we had keyboarding class. There was other high schools that were, in Arizona and whatnot, like in Scottsdale or what have you. They did have programming classes. I got typing. So this is the type of thing that we're trying to bridge the gap on, is that there's not the future and what will best prepare you for a very successful career path is not necessarily being offered in lower income areas.
Right. Yep.
And I would say that that's probably one of the biggest things that's stunting people's development in those areas. Where you're like, okay, I'm in a low income area. I'm willing to put in the time and effort. Imagine if you're in a low income area and you are one of the kids who actually is mature enough to take advantage of your opportunities, right? Yeah. So you are committing really hard to school, only to find out that your classes are from the 1980s.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other kids' classes, 10 miles over, is for
modern
the
day.
future.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
The future, yeah. Right. Yep.
And you're like, okay, so I've put all this time and energy into it, only to have been completely hamstrung.
Oh, yeah. It's still playing catch up. You're behind still.
Yeah, 100% behind, but you did everything right.
Right.
I didn't, right? I did not do everything right. And that's on me. But for the kids where they're actually trying, it is mind-blowing to think that like you're trying your absolute hardest, and what we give you is what would have been great for the 1990s job market.
Yeah, there you go, right?
That's what you pop out of high school with after getting an A in all your classes and whatnot. You got typing.
Right.
That's what you get. Right. Data entry.
Yep.
That's exactly. It's an absolute shame.
And
it's not. I talk about the technology stuff because that is what I'm into, but it's exactly the same with financial literacy, where financial literacy is actually taught at affluent places, affluent schools and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
They actually teach them about financial education.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not teaching that to people that are, I'd say, even middle class and below.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Even just middle class and below. They're not teaching that type of thing to people, and that ends up putting you in a spot where, as you mature into adulthood and whatnot, you literally were not given the tools to succeed.
Yep.
Even if you busted your butt, you still aren't given the tools to succeed, and that's mind-blowing. So that's what we're ultimately trying to do is to bring those tools back, and hopefully, fingers crossed that schools eventually get to the point where they're giving those offerings to fairly across the economic spectrum.
Yep.
Hopefully that's the case, but we're more or less in a position where we have to, because they're not.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right, man. And you said it better than I could ever have said it. Definitely a lot of details and the reasons behind that we're establishing the nonprofit organization as well. So, but yeah, that's what it's about, man. Just trying to put everybody on the even scale to make more communities more successful. So that's definitely it, man. So that's the episode for the day. I really appreciate you sharing your story, man. A lot of insight, a lot of stuff that I can relate to, and I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff that others can relate to as well. And that's really what it's all about. So if you guys like the episode, subscribe, share, what you like most about it. You can go to YouTube as well at Righteous Project, which is our podcast channel for YouTube. But we also are on Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and a few others. I'll get my taglines in line, in more episodes. But you can always go to the website as well, righteousproject.org, to view all the content that we have. Too, we have a lot more resources than just a podcast. But definitely make sure to share these podcasts and subscribe, so we can get out there a lot more and keep providing you guys with this type of content. All right.
And if real quick, I apologize. I did want to say, and I know that this is something that we have done, in reaching out with other organizations, right? I did want to say that both me and Billy have tried actively, where if there's any other organizations that need assistance with technology stuff, but also I know that you've done a whole lot in assisting people with the business side as well as the financial side.
Yep.
We're both lifelines for that type of thing, and it's not something where we're looking to profit off of this type of help or whatnot. Yep. I have gone out of my way, not just through the Righteous Project, but I've gone out of my way to try to reach out to people where if they need help, even as something as basic as there's a business that I go to and I realize they don't have a website.
Yep.
And I just say like, hey, it's extremely easy to set up a website, and I can help you. And I'm not going to charge you.
Right.
I'm just going to help you as far as setting up the website and whatnot. It's just a means of trying to bridge the gap and help people out and whatnot. And
That's
I know
it.
you've gone out of your way to do the exact same thing.
Man, for sure.
I'm willing to go out of my way to do the exact same thing. If there's anyone that needs help as far as setting up infrastructure for apps, for websites, for this type of thing, I'm more than willing to put in time and effort to help people. I know for a fact Billy is more than willing to put his time and effort into it. He's gone way out of his way. So I did just want to say that just so everyone's aware that we're actively trying to help people in this way, and it's not in an attempt to profit and this type of thing. We just want to help people.
Exactly.
So if any of that type of stuff is, if anyone needs help with the technology side of building out their business or their nonprofit or whatnot, or the financial / business side, Billy's the guru on that, and I can promise you I'm not. I'm the guru on the technology side, and so we can help.
Yeah, for sure.
Just email, phone call away type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, you guys can always email us at our contact info that you can find on our website, righteousproject.org. Don't forget to visit that. But just like he said, we're here to help. That's what the Righteous Project is all about. So just stay tuned. Keep an eye out for more content. Subscribe to newsletters and YouTube channels and all that. We'll make sure that you guys stay updated. But once again, thank you for listening. Definitely been a pleasure. Thank you again, Jacob, for joining as a guest.
Appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys soon. All right. So this is Billy and Jacob signing out for the day. See you guys in the next episode.